Hey everybody, this is Carl back again for another TV show spoiler review. I just wrapped up season 2 of Yu-Gi-Oh! Vrains. We got one more season left before we're completely done with all the Yu-Gi-Oh! Stuff. And yeah. Getting into season 2, which is actually the shorter season. The first and last season got like equal amount of episodes, so I think it was like 49. So that one's gonna take a while, but I'm gonna say like I still enjoying the show, but there's a few glaring issues I'm having. Is the same thing I had with the arc 5, where I think there's too many cooks in the kitchen in terms of characters. And while we had like a decent amount of like the first Yu-Gi-Oh! Duel Monsters or even 5Ds, we had like a significant amount of characters, but over time we kind of whittle it down to the more essential ones. Like 5Ds was a great example. When we first were introduced to 5Ds, we met up with like Yusei's little group of underground friends that helped him get out of the pipeline situation. After getting to season 2 and 3 and so on, we barely seen them. They popped up here and there, but they weren't the essential focus, because there weren't duelists. They were even like good supporting characters that we're eager to like follow along. Like even Tristan and Duke Devlin are familiar with dueling, not like up to par with someone like Yugi or Kaiba or anything like that, but they even they had their fair episodes of dueling. And they add something to the narrative where they fulfill like some kind of like supporting, not just a supporting role. They like you see Tristan even like get into like duking it out with people here and there to or at least aid in some manner where like the main characters can't be two places at once kind of situation. They fed into the overall story. Here it's just like the same way where it's like with Zexo, Arc 5, and now this is just, well, this is as egregious as like Zexo, but because we have like for example that student kid that that classmate of Yusako's. I mean, why do we pop in on this kid? I mean, he's not around so often, but whenever we see him, my eyes just kind of roll, because it's like when I first saw him in episode 1 of season 1, I'm thinking like, oh, this must be like kind of the Joey Wheeler type for this guy, because like the best friend character that might be kind of slow on the uptake on dueling at first, but then as he pal around with Yusako / Playmaker, he will grow into a decent duelist of his own merit. But no, he's relegated to that joke character. Hell, even Bronk in Zexo dueled fairly well despite his deck being so lame, but at least he has the freaking knowledge on how the basic mechanics work. And every time we see this full duel, it's just like worse than almost anything I've ever seen. Hell, even Teo knows the basic mechanics of the dueling card game. It's like this guy is straight up pathetic. It's like not even worthy of the airtime you're giving this character. But even then, it's like you don't barely even see him. He's not integral in the overall narrative. Hell, he barely even serves as the comic relief. He's not even funny. But anyway, but we are introduced to other supporting characters like Soul Burner, who is has an Ignis of his own called Flame, the fire Ignis. We all are introduced with all the Ignises now in this season because we've been tracking them down. That was the main plot for the season, finding the Ignis, because there will be a war brewing now between the Ignis, who are led by the light Ignis called Lightning, who I love the voice actors of all the Ignises. They're very good. And especially the wind Ignis, who sides with Lightning in terms of fighting against the human population, because each of the Ignises are psychological copies of the young kids from the Lost incident, where like Dark Ignis is from Playmaker, Fire Ignis is from Soul Burner. We meet Aqua, who's the Water Ignis, for it turns out to be well, she partners with Blue Angel. Then I'll get into Blue Angel for a second. Let's keep going Blue Angel because like she changes her name twice this season for some weird reason. I would have expected it if it was like once every season, but it's too quick. Anyway, she partners up with Blue Angel, who used to be best friends with a young girl who was eventually kidnapped and was brought as part of the Lost incident, but then she ended up comatose after the situation. But then we also meet the Earth Ignis, who turns out, well, we kind of got a hint of that. It wasn't confirmed, but we kind of got a hint of that. The Earth Ignis is was the psychological part of I forgot the guy's name who used that tree plant thing. He's part of the Knights of Hanoi, teaming up with Vrains, who used that tree link deck. And we got the hint because after the Earth Ignis was captured by Soul Technologies, he was essentially dissecting, which was very gruesome. Like Wendy gets wounded by the Knights of Hanoi, and it's kind of gruesome. Like he was slowly like acid burn, disintegrated slowly until Light Ignis saved him. But Earth Ignis was captured, and he was essentially, you know, broken down and absorbed into like an AI format or part of the technology of Soul Technologies now. And all the Ignises felt, because they share a connection, all the Ignises felt the disappearance of Earth. And then you see the Knights of Hanoi guy cry. He doesn't know why he's crying. But you like, that's where the hint that comes into play, where it's like, oh, because he was part of the Lost incident too. We just never know which Ignis was part of him, but now we know because tree, earth, all that stuff. So that was kind of sad. But then and the voice actor of Wendy is very funny because he talks very rapidly. And it's like no, like I kind of did, but kind of not, but I kind of did. Oh, sure, join you, like, but like, oh, slow down now. Oh, yes, I just, it's that little kind of rapid speak. I don't know why, I kind of like it, but then when he gets very sinister, I'm glad they kind of sort of break the fourth wall. Well, with like, you know, I kind of does, where it's like, what's wrong with your voice? You get all kind of sinister all of a sudden, like, oh no, what are you talking about? This is how I talk. And it's like Jesus. But I was really enjoying that. We introduced to also these bounty hunters, one of them being Shepard, who turns out later on by the end of the season, we find out is the stepbrother to Ghost Gal. And I love his aesthetic. He got this kind of like a cowboyish thing going on, and he has his own grudge against all AI because him and his mom got into a car accident because it, was a self-driving car. Given it with this whole AI stuff, it's very reminiscent of what's going on in the real world with Elon Musk with all the AI, even to the point of downloading just recently, downloading a chip in your brain in order to be able to access the internet via your brain. And it's like, oh my god, they just like very one-to-one right now, even like self-driving cars. But because some kind of screw up with the you thought it would have been like Wendy, and thought maybe like Wendy was connected to Shepard, but I don't think he was part of the Lost Incident. But we don't know who Wendy's human partner was, because Wendy ended up turning, not necessarily turned against him, they was never partnered up. He sought out his human partner and essentially killed him, but we never know who that person was. I kind of wish we got to know that person. Maybe in the third season we'll figure that out, maybe. But Shepard grew to have like a huge grudge and animosity towards AI because his mom, well, I don't know if it's just a dub version where it's just like, oh, she's in a coma kind of situation, when in the sub manga, they typically are dead. But either case, that's, he has a grudge against the, most of the world. In fact, he became like this black market hacker programmer kind of dude, where he goes online and becomes a bounty hunter in order to track down certain information for certain employers. And he's typically hired by Eisen, who eventually doesn't like his methods, so he kind of sticks with Ghost Gal as his go-to spy, essentially, who like, sent to do a job, and they kind of have like some kind of friendship, level kind of thing. But he always more so count on her to get the job done and not deviate any kind of way, because she still have, despite her, because he kind of reminds me of Black Cat / Black Widow, where she still kind of got a heart, even though she has a mission, she want to complete the mission and nothing else matters. But she isn't cruel kind of situation, where Shepard is like, deep into like mission only, nobody else matters attitude. But he gonna have like a out of the blue turn, because he has like a slight bitterness towards Ghost Gal, because by assessing their father, because essentially the father kind of ran out on Shepard and his mom to be with Ghost Gal and her mom, and this kind of have like a grudge. And of course eventually the father passed away, and he confessed to Ghost Gal his regret about what he did to her brother and his mom, and his last words to confess that so she can relate it to him. And I guess he kind of like sort of took it to heart, because he still considers her as family. But anyway, then I want to touch on Ghost Gal, the fact that
phrasing
Ghost Gal, not Ghost Gal, Blue Angel, I like there's character growth with characters. Hell, she has more of a character growth than Playmaker, because Playmaker seems very freaking stagnant in terms of. I'll get to that in a second, but Ghost Gal, I have mixed feelings on Ghost Gal's character growth because it seems like she's going through a character growth rather quickly. Like they're trying to get it out the way kind of situation, which in a way I think is kind of, she's probably the first, in my opinion, the first female protagonist that kind of maintains her skill level while she doesn't regress into being like the cheerleader for the main protagonist like so many other previous female protagonists, where it's like, you know, you someone like I'm sorry, 1 second. All right. Sorry. Had to answer the door. Anyway. Unlike, you know, like Alexis or Akiza, who were even like My Valentine, were excellent female duelists, or the female leads of the show, or their respective shows. But you know, when they, you know, it's always in the first season of the respective shows, they're just like bang on the money in terms of skill level. You know, they show you some stuff. But getting into season 2, moving forward, either they regress into being like cheerleaders from the main character, like that girl from like Zexel, who was like, yeah, man, yeah, man, that attitude, or they regress in skill level in terms of like they keep losing. Like Mai, who's supposed to have been like this kind of champion before she met up with Yugi and his group, always seems to lose except against that ninja Hollywood Jean-Claude Magnum dude. I can't believe it. After all these years, I still remember that freaking name, because it's obviously why I remember it, because it's pretty much like a inspired by Jean-Claude Van Damme. But she had that win against him, but he was like a jobber one-off joke character, so I can't even count that. And she went up against Merrick, and although I didn't expect her to win, I expected her to at least put up a freaking fight. And ever since then, of course, she's been through trauma, but she went up against like you know, our main characters like Joey, and it's like, come on, you're not going to expect her to win against Joey because he's been up in his game for this whole time. I don't know, I expected, you know, so much from that character. Same thing with like Alexis ain't as egregious, but even still, she fairly dueled. She fairly dueled. And Akiza, once again, it's like she's supposed to be this banger of a duelist, and because he lost a bit of her like Black Rose edge, I guess. She hasn't been like really dominating, you know, dueling like that. Even when she's a part of the Team 5Ds, you don't see her like just, you know, dominate at least one game. I mean, you see her win against a couple of people getting into season 3, but it's just, I don't know, it's just Blue Angel is like who eventually into Blue Gal, then Blue Maiden. It's like you it's kind of like a reverse in a way with her, where she started out like this K-pop star, kind of not cheerleader but more like a K-pop star, but then she realizes like, okay, I gotta get serious. After the whole Nights of Annoy situation, she realized I can't just sit on the sidelines doing this whole celebrity thing. I gotta do my part kind of situation, which is cool. But what I would have, at least what I would have done is just like season 1, she is started out with this pop star kind of attitude, decent duelist. But then after the whole Nights of Hanoi situation, season 2, oh, okay, so now she's known to be Blue Gal, and she's like, okay, I gotta get into this, learning, upping my game, learning from Ghost Gal how she does things, and like essentially be her intern or whatever, and then grow from that experience. And then by the time season 3 happens, then she chose where she's like kind of like graduated from her like learning from Ghost Gal. She comes into her own. Now she's going to be Blue Maiden, which she got an awesome design with Blue Maiden. She changes her avatar like twice this season, and like each season should be like showing growth and going through like each season as an arc for her. And by the time you get to the next season, you see her up her game, and then another level by the following season. Here it's like boom boom boom, all all through this one single season. And it's like, I do not care for that, because it seems like you're trying to move things way too quickly. Then I want to go to Go, in terms of another like former team, like at least the former good guy, Go, who has probably like the worst arc, or at least non-existent arc in terms of this show, where it seems like they don't know what to do with this character, nor with even Soul Technologies, aside from Sizen, or Eisen, I just go with Eisen, even though it keeps getting me thinking about the character from Bleach. Where it's like, except like the Soul Technology as this like third party villain, and half the time I don't even care. It is added to the mix. You expected them to, well, the Knights of the Noise was been like the season 1 overarching focus. You think like, okay, season 2, Soul Technology is the overarching focus now, but we're still dealing with the whole Ignis situation too, running parallel. And of course, like season 1, the Soul Technology is relegated to like the background villain, while the main focus is like the Knights of Hanoi dealing with the Ignis running parallel. Now season 2, I expected the Knights of Hanoi taking like the background, because they still pop up, and nice Vera's got a nice new upgrade in terms of an avatar, which is very cool, better than the first season look. But I expected the Knights of Hanoi relegated to the background villain, ready to pop up again by season 3. But Soul Technology is supposed to be like, I don't know, I expect them to be like the main focus villain, because you got all these little game pieces of chess pieces and stuff, but we mainly see like the queen or whatever, and she's seeming like a threatening villain in terms of like a corporate bad guy type of deal. But it's just like half the time I don't really care, and I'm supposed to care, but I haven't excuse me, they haven't done a great job into making me feel like, oh, these are threatening, looming bad guys that we gotta deal with in this particular season. But that's why I mentioned about too many cooks in the kitchen kind of situation with these characters, because there's too many focuses, because I maybe like something they could have done, something like maybe how you see from like the Clone Wars TV show, where there's like a particular chunk of episodes relegated to one particular arc of a story, dealing with one people for a while, and then another chunk dealing with another group of people in a particular thing for a while, something like that. But no, it's like, it's like, each episode we're, not each episode, but every other episode we're, when it's downtime from duels, we like look peering in on what Soul Technology is doing, then peering in on Go, and then peering in on Ghost Gal, and peering in Playmaker, and it's like, okay, there's too much focus being pulled in all these different directions, and your brain can't help but want to just focus on what it feels to be the most important one, which is typically whatever Playmaker and his team are dealing with, and like the Ignises, which, and then even Varys. Those are the primary three that your brain will automatically focus on because they're more important or add some importance to the overall narrative, while Soul Technologies unfortunately is relegated to like over here. It's like, if you take them out, I don't think it really affects nothing aside from whatever Blue Angel's brother is doing, because I still like that character, and it's like, besides that, I don't even care about the Soul Technology part. I don't. Then we got like this character Go, who was part of Team Playmaker for season 1 to help take down the Knights of Hanoi, but then he came in as part of the bounty hunters. He's not a bounty hunter and stuff, and only reason he's joined up because he is like bitter that he lost to not only to Playmaker but to Varys, and he feels like since he lost to Playmaker and to Varys, but Playmaker beats Varys, he's now like not the top dog celebrity duelist, and he lost his fans, and he's not looked at as a hero, even though Soulburner still looks up to him as a hero, but he's ashamed of what Go has turned into. As a matter of fact, you see him, losing muscle mass. He's, look malnourished. Hell, like everybody points out how sickly he looks because he's teaming up with Soul Technologies, and it's like your reason because oh my god, it's such a weak reason to go break bad, because hell, even like Kaiba, he still like wants to be the #1 duelist, but he just steps away. He's still that other stuff to deal with that isn't relegated to Yugi, isn't like his sole focus all the time. Sure, he still wants to be able to beat Yugi in order to become the #1 duelist, but he loses, he learns from it, he comes back better. He's not hounding Yugi every which way. When Yugi's focuses on something else, Kaiba is not constantly, he's not, you never see Kaiba teaming up with Merrick so he can find a way to duel Yugi, because he's so gung-ho about being the #1 duelist, even to the point of sacrificing his health over it. It's just it's so dumb. It's really dumb. And I like his deck upgrade. He went from Goki to these it's very wrestler type of cards that he has. He went from Goki to this Dino Wrestler type of cards, and he's the one that is responsible of taking down the Earth Ignis, getting it captured, and then it turned into some kind of AI implant into his brain, and now he's kind of connected to like he sees the world through internet space, and now he's thinking, because the Soul Technology, I think their overall goal is to try to merge AI with humans and go essentially like the prototype, and he's becoming a little sickly because of it. It's not like perfect union, and of course he ends up losing the Playmaker a couple of times. It's like he was he's not as bad as like that classmate of Playmakers, but he still had like the worst character, arc out of this entire series. But then we get into Playmaker. Now, I like Playmaker fine, but you from the previous of lead protagonists from the other series, they had this kind of, each one had their own character arc and growth, where Playmaker, we don't see that. He seems to remain stagnant. The only thing that's changed is the fact that he knows now his history, that he lost because of the lost incident. But now it's like he seems kind of not robotic, but very like super stoic, which could be fine. And of course, we see on a rare occasion he crack a smile and I points out how creepy it looks. But it's just, I don't know. He doesn't have his human. He's human, but he doesn't seem like have like any kind of like those human moments where even with like Yama Yugi, which he's also kind of stoic, but he has his comedic moments too, where it's like when little Yugi is trying to get him out into the world and hang out with Taya at one time, where he dueled against Johnny Steps. And he's like, he freaks out like, "Hey Yugi, this ain't no duel. What are you doing?" And it's like, and he's like, "Oh hi." So he has like his little funny moments too, and it's not everything's so serious. And you don't see that with Playmaker. This is kind of weird. Even like with someone like Astro, who's also stoic, have his dry humor in a way, and you don't at least get dry humor from this guy, which he probably would be perfect for. But it's just like, it's very stagnant in terms of his emotions, and you don't. Each character also has some kind of kinship with their cards, like Yugi with Dark Magician, Karibo, Dark Magician Girl. You got Yuma with Utopia. Yusei with the Stardust Dragon, Yuma and his Elemental Heroes, and Neil's Spacians. Even like with Yuya with his Performer Powers and Odd Eyes, you see him dance with his cards. But you don't get nothing like that with Playmaker nor his cards. Like, I don't even see, like, even to the point of calling his cards his very soul or something like that, and it showed like he had some kind of connection with his cards. You don't get that with this, and it's kind of like, doesn't ruin the show, but it kind of feels like it's lacking what make Yu-Gi-Oh special, where like the main characters view their cards as their like friends or family, or like some kind of level of kinship, whereas like we see an episode or two where you can see how he acquired his Cerberus cards, and he just treated like a normal deck. And it's like, I don't know, I would have written it where it's like, I went through these trials and tribulations in order to get these cards, and they mean a lot to me, and I won't give up these decks, the Cerberus cards, because they mean so much, because they came from the Cybers, and I have a connection with because he comes from that kind of thing. You can interweave that kind of thing very easily, but you don't get nothing with that, which is kind of like, I feel is lacking. So those like my issues with that. I'm getting through the issues first, because everything else seems it's still right on the money. I think Varys has an incredible arc as well. He's still like maintaining his focus, even gathering back his Knights of Annoy again. At least like the main people, not those jobber grunch. Requiring his four-man team in order to, one woman too, but requiring the team back again in order to build up, because he's about to, I'm pretty sure, going to get those jobber henchmen again, because he's very gung-ho about stopping the Ignis and eradicating them, but he promised that he will leave him as last, because he doesn't, since he claims he doesn't like, want to end humanity, he wants peaceful coexistence. Like, well, I don't believe that, but since you aren't considered like, opposing me, I will give you the benefit of saving you for last kind of attitude. And of course Varys is kind of like the subtle Kaiba of this universe, because his deck is pretty dope. Currently right now on Yu-Gi-Oh! Master Duel, I'm working on, because I already kind of relatively built like a decent like a playmaker deck, but I want to build like a Varys deck, because his deck is pretty much based on like bullets and rockets merged with dragons. It's very kind of dope looking concept, because each one kind of like got like his Japanese name is Revolver, and you got his cars look like got revolver barrels attached to them, to like revolvers on their necks and like barrels on their face, or they look like giant bullets, or giant missiles, the kind of thing. Even he has earrings that look like little bullets, so it's kind of like a dope aesthetic. So I'm working on building something like that, because I got pretty much like a decent protagonist decks. I still gotta give it a couple of months where I still want to acquire certain cards, and at some point on going back to playing some Yu-Gi-Oh! Master Duel, I want to dedicate some videos trying out each of the protagonist cards and each of the main rivals cards, and like just play around with them, because I'm nearly done, because I just want to get through like Vrains to see like what kind of cards they wield and try to build like a decent deck out of it, at least relatively. Not, I don't expect it to be 100%, but at least like 97-98% of accuracy. Anyway, so now we meet with all the major players, and Flame. Oh, no, I almost forgot about Soul Burner. Soul Burner, I argue, could have easily been like the main protagonist of the show, because he has that kind of aesthetic what you expect from a main protagonist, where he's jovial, but he can be serious when he needs to be. And he comes from the whole lost incident too, but he hasn't lost that kind of spark. He kind of like Jaden in a way, in terms of not like I don't know, because Jaden like always has, at least in the first season, always have fun with his duels, and everybody else being serious, it's like he kind of laughs it up like, man, I'm just so psyched kind of attitude. And you kind of get that from Soul Burner, but he knows when things are serious, he takes them seriously. So he knows how to, he has the maturity to balance it out. But he plays with this kind of a salamander flame type of a salamander deck thing, not an actual salamander like reptiles, but they got a reptile look, but they're flame, so he pretty much got like a fire deck, which is pretty dope. You don't really, the only time I actually seen somebody actually legit play with like a legit fire deck was Axel Brody in Yu-Gi-Oh! GX, but since then I don't really seem like a true fire deck. And Soul Burner, which I wanted to try to see if I can build like a decent deck out of too, to make a decent flame deck, because we playing Master Duel, early Master Duel, I've seen people using that Salaman Great, that's what the title is. I've seen people using the Salaman Great cards, and it seemed kind of annoying at first, but now I want to try to build them up, because I've been trying to build like a decent Joey Wheeler deck, but I imagine there's gotta be like a few, because there's a few stuff mixing with like Gear Free type of cards, like Gear Free the Iron Knight type of kind of cards, or you're freed. But also some even though I got Flame Swordsman, I want to see other like Flame Swordsman type of cards. At least there's a couple of things that I want to incorporate in my Joey Wheeler deck before I feel comfortable actually trying to use it. Like the Skull Dice and Graceful Dice kind of thing, and and a couple of stuff that Joey Wheeler uses, like Roulette Spider or whatever. I could try, now I'm thinking about it, try to see if I can build like a decent I don't think I can right now, but I only got probably like a few Crystal Beast decks. I want to see if I can build like a Jesse Anderson deck, because there's probably some best friend decks I can try out, but there's not many good best friend decks that was actually worth their salt, aside from, well, definitely not in Zexal, because all the best friends in Zexal more as like tight like that. So you got like a decent handful, because definitely like the Crystal Beast I'll play anytime over any Cyrus's little Roy deck situation. Anyway, he gets Soul Burner. He's like a great new addition to the show. He's no notes for that character. Well, one note where he got this for a little bit. It didn't last forever, but he has like a little bit of like a fear of Despair of the Dark card, where some from his youth, not too long, a couple years after the whole lost incident, where he's found and he's trying to live a normal life, and he's trying to help a student from these bullies, and they played this Despair from the Dark, and he got some kind of fear from that, which is not too unheard of. I mean, Yusei has this kind of fear of bugs, and when during this early duel in like the first season, where these punks try to duel against him, and they're using like these insect decks, and they trying to use that fear against him, but he still overcame it. So he kind of got that with Soul Burner. So it's not unprecedented, but I don't know. Everybody got their own kind of fear, and so like I don't like bugs either, so I can imagine it kind of will freak me out too a little bit. But usually kind of had that courage and strength to power through that fear, and you see that with Soul Burner as well. So now that we got all, like, you found all the Ignises, and everybody's pretty much picked their own side, where Flame, Soul Burner, Playmaker, and Aqua, and Blue Angel, Aizen, and Ghost Gal pick the side of peaceful coexistence, while the Knights of Hanoi choose war and side of humans, while the Ignis well, in terms of like Lightning and Wendy, choose the side of the Ignises, because Lightning is the human, well, Lightning is the Ignis counterpart to crap, what's his name, the hot dog vendor that is the hacker that helps Playmaker. That's the brother that is laying comatose now, because Lightning got this Bowman character, and Bowman and his little runt kid that claims to be like the brother turns out to be prototypes. And there's these other little, because Lightning's been building his own warp version of perfection, in terms of kind of like what the Soul technology is trying to do, but on the other end of things, where it's like merging human and AI, but Lightning is trying to build a merging of human AI, whereas like the perfection, even something above even Ignis's, because Lightning, I'm sorry, Lightning sees that since Ignis's were built to be like the some kind of personification of what the human counterparts are, they see like because given the fact that he points out I is like an anomaly in a way, because the rest of them started out to follow like a simple programming, but you see like as Bowen points out, you acquire something that the others didn't at first, but because watching you, they grew to eventually. uh I has like a unique ability of human instinct, so he automatically starts through the be playful, lazy, isn't like doing like a particular job that he was programmed to do. Then eventually Watery grew to her own little sentience, where she has the unique ability to know when somebody's lying to her. uh I forgot what the other illnesses do. Their own unique ability. Matter of fact, let me look this up really quick. Sorry, because each one had their own little thing. Um. Uh. Okay. I has like instinct and wisdom, data consumption, link sense. While Flame has strong willpower, Wendy uh stronger control of data material, Earth uh physical strength, capable of feeling love and jealousy and other related emotions like that. uh Aqua has pure heart and lie detection, and Lightning has superior intellect, lightning fast movement, and can rewrite Ignis programs or create advanced AIs. So those are each of their unique uh, 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 capabilities. Uh, so yeah, I mean the season ends with it was Gove versus Playmaker, which his deck because he doesn't play like he usually do, where he's very like attack focused kind of deck. He's more analytical now because of that AI program. And despite Eisen's protest, his boss, the queen, I don't even remember her freaking name, she like is like, no, we need this you know done. And it's like, you're not going to acquire anything if this guy dies on you. He'll become a vegetable. Pushing his body to the limits. His heart rate is jumping all over the place. He is going to die, and she does not care. And it's like, I'm pretty sure you'll cause like a massive scandal if a former celebrity dies on your watch because of some programming. I'm sure like you're a big company, you can spin it, but that is just like a huge blow to your PR kind of situation. It's not a good look if you cause the death of somebody under your watch. You can say like he probably signed some kind of waiver or something like that, maybe. But you know, Eisen is just like deeply bothered by this, and he turned on the emergency shut off thing to get him out of the virtual world, so he can take him to the hospital. And I'm pretty sure by season 3, he's probably gonna be ousted from the company, but he doesn't even like to be there anymore anyway because he thinks this is horrible. Like, you know, like this is monsters of what we're doing. He doesn't even like the fact of what they did to the Earth Ignis at all. So now that, you know, the main focus in this season was just trying to find all the Ignises, which we do. And now, you know, going into season 3, they'll be like, we're pretty much preparing for war, despite Playmaker and his team's protest against that, and they'll try to fight a front of stopping both the Knights of Anoa and the Ignis' side of things, so that way we can try to, you know, find some unity, or at least a truce, or a ceasefire, or something. Because, you know, it's gonna tear up Link Vrains and the Cybers, and by extension the human world, if this, you know, carries on, because the Ignis is going to eradicate all of humanity because they feel their lives are at stake. And they also fear that, you know, because Lightning pretty much figured out, like, since we came from like humans, technically we will eventually, and I think Aqua kind of sensed that kind of as well, whereas like we will eventually, like humans, start having like infighting, and we need to, you know, build perfect beings where there's like unification, true unification. And Lightning puts out, because he mentioned plenty of times, like, I'm not without logic, you can try to reason from my side of things. Of course, he's not really going to budge on his stance, but he points out as an example, like, do you, like, look at how you treat like your, you know, your animals, like your dogs. You literally call them pets. You view them subconsciously as you're above them. And so do you give them any kind of peace? Are there truly peaceful coexistence between you and your quote unquote pets? No. So that's how the Ignis view humanity. We are above you. Like, you don't, like, certain animals you don't even treat all that well half the time, and most of the time you know, you subjugate them to relegate them as your pets. So it's like why would we need to treat you any differently? We're by extension, we like think that way about you the way you think that way about your pets. So why would we need to peaceful coexist at all? He makes a relatively, you know, a sensible argument. And various side of things is like, where it's like, no, you will cause the downfall of humanity. My father witnessed it. He calculated it 1,000,000 times over, and look what you. It's like you see, like, you're proving my point with the fact that you want to eradicate all humanity. That we, you know, it may not be today, may not be tomorrow, but at some point you will cause the downfall of humanity, and I want to nip it in the bud now before that gets to that point, before we, you know, reach a point of no return with it. And you kind of see a little bit with that with I, where it's like when he realizes that what Go did to, and the Sultanazis did to Earth, you see him get very angry, because you know it was in the human worlds when like Varys had like a sit down with Playmaker and his friend, and he gives them this little data chip thing, so that way they could prevent lightning from trying to interfering with their data again in the virtual world. And the fact that, because Varys points out that the Ignis have no emotion, they don't feel nothing or whatever. You see like moments where Ignis where I actually shows anger, which is a human trait, but you also see him tear up. And as a matter of fact, it kind of contradicts a couple of things where I points out, like, do I even have tear ducts? And but you see him a couple of episodes prior to him saying that, where he actually see him cry on top of Playmaker's dual disc. You can actually see him like shed tears, which you don't think is kind of feasible given the fact that you're an AI program, but it's done. But the fact that he showed a level of hatred and anger towards the people who have done this to essentially his family, you see, like, Varys kind of peeped that, like, see? I love that smirk, because it's like, see, like, these people, like, these Ignises, like, they will turn on us if they feel like, any level of threat. They will do it, but even though you're the root cause of it. But it's kind of like a snake eating his own tail, like one feeds after the other. It's like, lightning sees them as a threat to the humans as a threat to the Ignis, and so he's trying to attack, and therefore proves Varys's point where the Ignis is going to try to eradicate humans, because what he's trying to do to eradicate them is like it's all in a circle right now. With that main plot is a very interesting thing, where there's like this bit of war between things that kind of feed into each other, and there's no talking these guys out of it, because they run these algorithms and it's proven to their nature as well about what they're going to end up doing to each other. So I'm very curious on how this is going to resolve. Like I said, I'm coming in fresh. I've never seen Vrains before, so I went through season 1. I went for the first time. Did a review on that on the channel, which you can check out on my YouTube channel, youtube.com/talkativecarl. My thoughts on that. Now I went through season 2 for the first time. Now I want to go through season 3 for the first time with fresh eyes. And once I'm done with that, I'll give you my overall thoughts on how all that finally plays out. But yeah, those are my thoughts on Yu-Gi-Oh! Vrains season 2. I'll see you guys later on, where I get back to more FF7 Rebirth. But yeah, thank you for watching, and I'll see you guys next time. Peace.